I'm recording this live. Welcome to SUSE QE Tools workshop. Today I'd like to talk with you about features that were recently added to openQA, about filtering to-do jobs on tests belonging to groups, review team, etc. So we had one ticket referenced here, which is to filter openQA to-do jobs on tests belonging to one review squad. Here in air quotes, because the definition of a review squad is something that needs to be defined in the context of, or is not actually defined in the context of openQA directly. That's a concept what the department within SUSE is using, where we have different teams caring about different product areas, and we were thinking how to generalize that into a concept that's applicable to openQA. So there are multiple different things. Let's start with the live openQA instance. So I'm going to openQA OpenSUSE.org, and you can see here the build overview. And if, for example, you're just interested in a group, well, you can just follow the group. But in many cases, the tests are already structured into multiple groups, and that's why the /test page could be used. However, then the challenge is like, well, it shows like the last 500 finished jobs. Let's see how much that goes back into history. That's just about 1 hour ago. So there are actually many jobs that are executed. It's already possible to filter in that list by result, and it's already possible to filter by to-do as well. You can see also these two question mark icons. So the second one is an explanation for to do, what the means, also a link to the documentation. And the main recent addition is mentioned here. So what you can see here is that you can use group glob as well as not group glob vary parameters to include and exclude job group, separated list of globs like kernel, tumbleweed, etc. And it's also possible to filter jobs by comments. So that's a recent addition. So actually, let's try that out. Let's say you're interested in a certain example, and I think I have an example in my history. Yep, I can say comment equals and then a bug reference here. And what you will see is that you only have jobs which are linking those bug. And you can see that we are still limiting the list here. However, you see that this already goes further back into the history. Actually, taking a look 3 months ago, that's what you see here is actually all references to that bug, because the default limit is 500. I think it would say if that list is truncated, but here we're actually showing all references to that job in the jobs data. You can also try to filter that further. For example, let's say you're only interested in something with juice in the name. You can filter here that we have 125 reference out of that, or maybe want to combine that group glob and then something with AH64, and then we see that we have 9469.
So how does it work with dates?
What is you mean like well, you can sort by date, you cannot filter by date, but as I showed in before, it actually shows all reference, and
Good.
it starts with the most recent one. So it's like it's cut off by, well, we limit by job ID, and lower job IDs are older, hence we effectively limit by date. You can also achieve additional limiting with a limit parameter. So for example, if you would like to limit to less normally for more, then you can also add limited text.
Cool. Is it possible to make a note to also have the possibility of saying like within the last 3 months?
Sure, that's
It can be as a
possible.
follow-up.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm looking for new ideas of maybe you already use that or where you want to use that, or maybe some ideas of where this could be followed up. Not saying that we can do that ourselves, but collecting for the project idea. But could you tell me what's your use case behind that? Because you said like the last 3 months, and we already show all references from the last 3 months.
So maybe the limit of the 500 jobs might not be enough.
Yes.
So that's why I would like to search, for instance, for the occurrence of a particular comment, and I understand that these are comments per job.
Yeah.
So I would like to know in the past 3 months if this particular one has happened before. This will be particularly useful for fails, for instance.
So let's try, maybe we can find an example where we actually running into that limit of 500 jobs, and then can show you what can be done. So let's say that you're starting from this test overview page of Tumbleweed, and we can also see filters here. By the way, little side note, yes, there's also now comment text in filter here. So it's like basically the same functionality, show only jobs with comments containing the specified term, a comment as in openQA comments, which include labels and external ticket reference. But let's say we are only looking for failed job. And I don't know if you have good examples where you know that definitely there are more than 500 jobs in the database, then maybe you would run into the system. Yeah, actually, AA notified that is the bug that we searched for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then actually, let's start again from the beginning. So if I'm loading tests, okay, then let's see what it shows. So first it says loading. It says 169 jobs are running. Those are all the currently running jobs. There's no limit there. Also for scheduled, we only have a very few. So there's no limit applied here. Here you can say that it says last 500 finished jobs. Again, that only includes the last hour. If I say result failed, let's see what happens there. Then it says last 500 finished. Here says that we have 113 entries which are filtered out of that 500, and it still goes back 1 hour. So that's only the subset of this 1 hour window that we have seen. However, what we can do is we can increase the limit. Like if you're an expert with a URL, then you can increase the limit. So let's say we increase the limit to 1000. Okay. Funny coincidence. Now there are 170 jobs running, and it says limited by server config. But that shouldn't concern us. We are now looking at the last 1000 jobs, and you can see that we're filtering out of that, and it goes back 3 hours. So as I said, limit is equivalent to time. Yeah? It's just another way to express it. But I will note down the idea to also consider filtering by time. Allow to search by time. Okay, guys, do you have more questions or notes regarding that?
One note, because again, I would prefer to assume that not everybody is an expert here. So we could have the possibility of changing the limit on that job overview page as well. So if it's available for the URL, it should be also available in the UI. What do you think?
Yes, commonly that should be the case.
Yeah.
What we do is we try out. I mean, those are individual different steps. For the comments window, for example, we have seen here, we have this collapsible filter box. So there it was easy for us to say, okay, we have added that functionality into the API, so we can specify it in the URL, and we have a good place where we can put that box. Okay. Yeah, we don't have that collapsible filter box, and we don't want to clutter the UI. So we and we only worked on that adding the comment functionality as a time box task. So actually we were, let's say, we were lucky that during that time box spike solution, we already ended up with a complete feature. The one part which we identified is something that we, let's say, at least need to think about once more is where to put it in the UI to not clutter the interface, right?
Yeah, definitely. But and again, this limit part is more the comment about the limit is more on making sure that there is functionality that is not only available for expert users, but also for users that are just coming into this. So, and this goes very much into something that I was commenting you about, like this question of what are the most used URLs that we were discussing back in December as well. But again, that's separate from this, and I understand the cluttering of the UI because um, we don't want too much in a single place.
Yeah. There's one additional point here because you mentioned we could just take a look on which URLs the people most often. And you already know that, for example, the test overview page is used a lot. And, you know, like years ago, actually the slash test page was added to openQA and test overview was added later. So originally there was the test page. And then this test page became less useful. Why? Because there are more products tested on openQA, more different people and more different teams working with the same openQA instance. That's why when you just take a look at the last 1,000 job, you are being overwhelmed. And you, for example, you, Santi, you wouldn't or you cannot care about all those failed because they're coming from different domains, right?
Correct.
Yeah. However, then on the other side, you guys approach us and say like, how can we, I have this and this and this and this job group plus those tests which have this in the name plus those tests which have that labeled somewhere. How can I show, how can I find all those? So the goal that I want to achieve that you have as 2 tabs open in your browser for your daily work. Yeah. So, you know, for example, you could say like, okay, I need to review all that. So let's open this, and that's a bit much, right? Then you're quickly overwhelming your browser, or you're asking your manager for a memory upgrade for your notebook.
Yeah, but in that case, normally, at least by experience and from what I know of other reviewers, we focus on the test result overview page. And maybe Deemstar's input will be great here because he might have a different approach to all of this. And that's why I was asking about the like being able to answer which are the most used pages nowadays, which we can easily achieve by adding Matomo analytics to openQA.
Yeah. Okay. Again, to continue with that point, yes, that's a valid source of information to know which pages people use the most. However, what do we do with that information? If we know that then most people use the test overview page, then we can consider improving the test overview page. I mean, that's also what we did. We improved the performance, we added more filters, we added more icons there, but also we are asking, why is it that people use this URL the most, and then people do have multiple test overview pages? So I'm also asking, is there an alternative? So one alternative that I'm looking for is coming up with, let's try it here. Let's say you are interested in all job groups that have kernel in the name, and you're looking for failed jobs and only the one, or actually we can leave out failed. I'm only looking for the ones that needing review, and then you find this page, and then you see like, okay, those are LTP tests that I care about. They are, you can already see those are, for example, PowerPiece in AH64, and those are in different job groups. If you would look at those job group by job group, mean like test overview by test overview, then you might not see that the same problems happen independent of the architecture. So this might explain that this is like a common issue, or is it a different issue? And in the end, you might need to review all of that. And
don't we have a way to see multiple job
yes,
groups on a same test overview page?
yes, can combine those. So for example, I'm opening both those. So this is the
what I'm getting at questions is mostly trying to understand why the focus on the side of the test on the old test page and not the test overview page, which is where we know where there is the most focus from the people who are doing reviews.
Yes.
And LTP, I think that they are doing their at least for a kernel team who is doing LTP, they have a different tool for doing reviews. So that's not necessarily the best example.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, on openQA, OpenStork, I'm not sure if you have good examples, but I'm a bit hesitant to share too much detail from.
Yeah. No,
there it's more applicable.
That's okay. That's fine. My trail of thought here is
to answer your question, why that focus on /test? Actually, there is not much focus. As I said, we are adding basically the same filter functionality to both. We are just wondering when both pages serve different use cases. And yeah, granted, some people might just never use /test and just use the overview page. And some people, as you rightly said, and we appreciate that, don't use the UI at all. I mean, perfect, right? That's less effort for us. We provide a good API, and then you use kernel tooling, right? But there are certain differing use cases behind, and also, like, I don't know, personal preferences. So this is why we are here, and I'm asking you guys, what do you think, where you see so, okay, Santi asked, allow to search or filter by time in /test page. So we can brainstorm on more ideas. What else should we do? What do you want to know if that works already? Certain paths that you don't know how to encode them in the URL, or new ideas which you would like to see regarding searching for jobs to review. So I'm noting down ideas here in an Etherpad document, how to search or filter by time / test page.
From a developer's perspective, probably I want also to search if something I changed impacts some other test. So I want to know if I need to run tests that use my modified code, for example. So some sort of dependency tracking
Right.
of the test modules.
Okay, yes. So let me show you here. For example, we have that field module name, and we also have module code. And with both of that, can search for corresponding test cases that cover a certain part. So let's take a look. If we find some specific test code within, I mean, we can use the name. But the question might be any code which has any test modules that have a certain reference included. So let's try that. If I'm looking for that and applying a filter, then you see that those not yet reviewed test modules in this job group use this test code. You can actually also generalize it from here. And now, again, it's a combination of using the UI and then going into something which is a bit more low level. You can see that there are certain filter options not set, but I could set them. For example, I could set group glob. I could say group glob tumbleweed glob, so some stars around, because I'm allowing architecture that, but not anything with development included. And here I'm not result failed, because I want to know test that currently passed, so that you could clone this test and check it out. Maybe not filter by this, not by group, right? So this is my complete line. It says test overview page with this module code regular expression, a group glob, and a not group. And that one takes a little bit longer to compute, because it's like going much deeper, needing to carry the test code, and also looking at the results of all kind of modules. And what we see here is now we have multiple job groups like Tumbleweed Legacy, WSL, PowerPC, H64, SV90, and kernel. And we see 1,556 software and so on. So here you have an overview of all current Tumbleweed test results, touching that code. Okay. And then obviously you would need to select from this subset. Maybe you say like, okay, maybe WSL broken anyway, so I would like to include another not glob WSL, and that should be then less. Yep, that's now less test result.
Okay. And it's document. Yes, thanks. It's documented somewhere, this feature, because I cannot find it in the
yes. So
in the
here
user interface.
It says help for the test overview, and it describes that this view can be configured based on query parameters, which can be set within this filter box. And additional picking up the query is possible by leaving out query parameters, which I did, or specifying them multiple times equivalent to logical or search for it. And there's a link to the documentation, shows more details there from the documentation. Here, example, add query parameters like result failed and so on. Okay. and more
I see.
advanced.
So there are documentation on each query parameter they can use.
I think that each query parameter is already added. So basically, yes, each query parameter is documented. Actually, let's start again. If we just click that link, okay, then you can already see query parameters are included. Distro microOS, distro. So you can see here the combination where multiple are included. Combines those, version, tumbleweed, build, and group ID. Okay, so here you can already see some parameters. If I'm now using the filter box, and maybe if I just click apply, it will add, yeah, then it actually adds the other parameters, but as empty. Okay, so now you have kind of advanced query. We are not including all the query parameters by default when they have an empty value because, you know, smaller, I like shorter URLs always.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, nice.
Okay, guys, other questions? How do you approach finding drops to review?
So internally, we normally use the blog by dashboard. So
you mean when you review SLE maintenance tests?
Exactly, for SLE. Yes. Because for tumbleweed and all flavors of SLE, we rely on the work, at least for QA Core, we rely on the work of Dominic and of Dimster and Luboš. Although we need to get better at filtering those and addressing those, but normally it's them who do that work for us on OpenSUSE.
Right.
Perhaps we can do an internal session at some point and also take a look at the maintenance stuff that cannot be shared publicly.
Well, we can show some examples like this. Okay, so for example, tests on openQA SUSE QE that need reviewing equals one, not group development. You said one way to approach is say like, well, you're taking a look on the dashboard. Okay, so you're taking a look on blocked by, and then can filter by the failing, like this is incident specific, but you as a QE engineer, you wouldn't need to wait for somebody to say like, hey, why is update XYZ blocked? Can you take a look? And then you do that. Yeah, that's rather late, but you can, you know, basically the day job could be to, I mean, what we can see is maybe that's a bit of a surprise, but it looks like right now there are only 35 jobs on OS reviewing. I mean, from this time window. That means that maybe not that many tests had been running. So yeah, we can try to increase the limit. But my idea is that something like this could be used where you say you're going through that as a to-do list because you don't need to care about individual incidents. Maybe they actually share all the same issue, right? And you don't want to copy paste that.
No, the problem is that there are two flows. So there are actually three flows. There is the flow of single incidents, of which mostly it's core team who has the most.
Yeah.
Then there are aggregates, which are daily runs, and those ones are easier because there you can use to do equals 1, and then that's fine. And then the third one is when somebody is asking for, hey, what happened with this very particular incident?
Yes.
Which is actually a search that we can try and do.
Yeah. But for example, here, eventually all those, so what I did here is I did two not group glob development, limit 8,000. Eventually, all those 166 drops need handling unless there are really some job groups included which are not called development, but nobody cares about, okay? But eventually somebody needs to review those anyway, so why not start with those? I mean, it's not grouped by review squad, so that still needs to be done. For example, if they recognize those and you can say like, yeah, okay, I'm not interested in those, or you are interested in those, then you could filter by job group, globs.
So Oli, there is a disconnect between what you want or what you think it's the right way, or the preferred way for you, and how the rest of the engineers are approaching this. And I think it's better if you survey how the engineers are actually doing the job. And maybe we can work together to try to make the feedback from that survey into actionable items, so that all of this becomes more and more useful and or relevant for them.
Yes, thank you.
But also Ioannis raised his hand.
Yanis?
I don't know if it's useful and it's not very, but for me, this last panel tape, it's not never was the most useful. What I want to suggest is like why we don't display each thing here, the module, sorted failed modules with the group and the number of groups and that you see failures. And maybe, yeah.
So you would look for
coffee.
Okay, so you're thinking of by test module, right?
Like the last update will be more useful for me, at least. I might like to see that, okay, Firefox fails in 10 tests in 2 different groups.
You mean as an owner of a test module or as a maintainer?
Like a reviewer, what do you mean?
Like
that from the
I think that's a common use case, but a different one. For example, what Santi described in before, looking block by, that's like all the tests and all the test modules in the domain of the core squad, blocking the updates regardless of test module. That's one use case. Another use case would be, say, where does the Firefox module fail? Because I'm the maintainer of that and I'm commonly asked to review those anyway. So let me try to handle all Firefox failures, because you know it's wasteful if everybody in their own team, in their own group, their own architecture tries to understand like why does Firefox fail, and maybe it's just the very same issue. So you just want to label them all because today Firefox has a bug, by the same bug every.
It's also more not like more useful if this in the overview there was separated overview of the maintainers and the other groups.
Say again, bit.
If there was a separated overview for the maintainers
Yes, I think of that as a separate search. I wouldn't try to put that into the same.
Yeah, agree. Oli, you just mentioned something that I've had in my mind for quite some time, which is I know that I don't know. Let's blame App Armor again. It's failing everywhere in all.
Sorry, I lost you there.
Armor, and let's say App Armor is failing everywhere today. We know that it's either a test failure or it's a bug.
Yes.
And as a reviewer, I would like to be able to label all of those jobs from the UI.
Right.
So that would be effectively doing this search by, I don't know, either todo or test module, and then being able to apply one particular comment for everything that is there.
Yes. So Leo, is this related to the?
This is it actually goes perfectly in the same place. So I would like to filter only boot Windows failed jobs.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I would like to label them.
So boot Windows, that one shows only jobs. It's the module, but as you can see, it includes jobs which don't fail. And you can now say, I want to show only the failed jobs, or maybe, maybe one of those was already like install WSL might have been already labeled with a different bug. It will show up here. So then instead want, because the others
Oli,
are missing.
go back because you're going somewhere else. There is the module name and you can filter by module result.
Yes, you can also do that. If you want to see all jobs that fail in Windows, then it would be this one. You can see that one WSL main job occurrence is filtered out.
Exactly. And now what we, as a reviewer, what will help a lot is to be able to apply a comment on all of those jobs from the UI.
Yes. So right now there is a tool called openQA label all, which is not connected to UI. It would basically
I know this tool.
Take the same filter parameters.
No, I would like actually to have it on the UI because this is what I use.
I know. I would also like to have it on the UI.
Perfect.
Web UI to apply the same label or bug ref multiple jobs from a filtered like this, showing multiple jobs all failing in the same module.
And actually, if I may overstep a bit in terms of features to be worked on, I think that this will be one of the most beneficial for everybody, because then you, as a reviewer, you don't have to switch context, trying to how to say, trying to label things and moving here and there.
Yes, I think that would certainly be quite helpful for reviewers actually using the UI, because as we already found, there are multiple which are not UI. There is one big limitation, and that's another reason why I'm why I'm not forgetting about /test page, which is, let me show you an example. When we are taking a look into maintenance single incidents, then for example, we have 4 core incidents, you can see that how the tests are structured in a way that every maintenance update is shown as a subsequent build. Okay? Meaning, if you would like to you would like to use the test overview page, that's what you had been telling me, right? And you would like to say, well, I would like to, you know, not review one specific incident. So what you can do is you can just show me like all jobs that need reviewing for group blob something with maintenance core incidents or incidents, right? Let's see how this goes. Might take expected. No, it works. Now this looks nice, right? But what does it show you? It shows you the test overview page, by definition, shows you the latest build. Well, you know, the thing is, maybe the test, the SLE maintenance test specifically could be redesigned, because this, as you can see here, openQA computes what it understands as the latest build for each version flavor combination.
Yes, there is actually a feature request from something like 2-3 years ago about exactly this problem. Because what for a test is the latest because maintenance incidents are handled as the combination of the build of the incident number plus package name, whatever. We have this problem. I have been also thinking exactly on this, but one thing that we might need to also think about in the context of openQA is how to represent that data as well.
Yeah. So one idea would be to actually not put that into builds, but into the flavor. Okay. I mean, you like server DVD incident install Tomcat or WebKit 2 GTK3. Okay. Then they could show up on that page in parallel. I mean, it wouldn't really concern the incident specific results, because there you would always point to result specific. But then they wouldn't show up as subsequent build, because they don't have to do with each other. And actually there can be multiple builds of Tomcat already, but they are hidden. So can't even see what update this is about. This is apparently about SUSE Azure adapter config. Let's see. And you can actually see here that NumaTop has multiple builds. Yeah. Or like, multiple jobs for the same build, which could probably be individual builds, like build 1 for this incident and build 2 for that incident. Yeah.
Actually, what comes to my mind is, and I think that this would be the easiest solution, is to be able to aggregate or not per build.
Okay, let's note down alternatives. Maintenance tests have builds like package name, which sorts one package update after another unrelated one. So test for
the funny part is that this is only for single incidents. So forget that this is only for SLE maintenance, because it's a feature that everybody can use if we filter, if we are able to group or not by build. And the advantage of that is that, for instance, when we have a test that is failing because of changes in the test per se, so one of us broke it, we can tag all the builds in O3 where boot to Windows is broken, basically.
Yes.
So it applies for both, and it allows us as well to treat the specific case of incidents. And then on top of that, have the possibility of tagging everything in there with a single bug reference comment or something like this. And I think that one of the reasons why the building on Michael's comment, one of the reasons why the group overview page is not useful for a lot of the work that is being done on the SLE side is exactly because there is this possibility of grouping by build is not existent.
You mean you would like to have the feature to not group by build?
Exactly.
Yeah. That would be one possibility. We need to think about the effect of that. It would be a bit against the concept of openQA, because if you take a look at this page, the next and previous results, I mean, the definition of openQA is that you have one build after another, and it shows all the builds here. Maybe it's fine if it goes like that, and then it, the name next and previous results is wrong. It's more like related results, maybe.
No, next and previous is correct. This is fine. The issue is that we are treating. There is that because maintenance or namely the builds that we are doing for SLE are not treated as a first-class citizen. That's why we ended up in this problem. Moving on.
Actually, I think it was at the time was, let's say, a tiny mistake to put ID and package name in the build, and
that's fine.
Nobody thought about it, and it didn't have that much of an effect at that time. So right now, this could be reconsidered. I mean, we not deciding who would do that. Let's say we in the SLE department, we could think about running that experiment to say how would it look like if we actually schedule SLE maintenance test differently by putting
I will be happy, for instance, if we have a single build that says incidents, and everything is in there, and then I am able to query by value, by key value. So incident ID equals blah, and that also solves the problem.
Flavor, actually.
No. You just add the incident.
Okay, I mean, yes, that's actually also possible, because we can already filter tests by a setting key. So we could say, if I yes, somehow we can.
Can you show me?
I will need to follow up with that. Okay.
Okay. So because this is the thing. Yes. Like, I am fully fine that we want to make, as we have discussed, we want to make openQA, OpenSUSE org the gold standard for how openQA should be used. So I'm fine with whichever solution we can get to that serves the biggest openQA customers, which will be O3 and OSD.
Yeah.
With things that are not necessarily specific for SUSE as well. And in terms of who can implement that, of course, tools teams should be the, or at least from my perspective, is the team that can work on it, because you have the most knowledge on how to help us get there. But, you know, again, we need to start to get closer between who are the stakeholders of tools teams and the openQA ecosystem, because this is not one-dimensional. It's not just openQA, and because openQA has a tooling building around it, and it interacts with other systems.
All right. Joaquin, so thank you for that. We have noted down different alternatives for that idea, which should also cover Michael's comment. If not, then tell us. Now I would like to take a look into Joaquin's question. So I'm trying out your latest query, and initially you started. I don't understand the problem. So you're starting with this and you're listing group IDs.
Yeah, so I put that.
And it shows those three job groups mentioned here. That's good.
I would like to more with these new fields to, for example, to only have just. So if I filter by just, it should remove migration misc and migration, right?
Yeah, so
click on now in filter. So you have these three, and then you without using the URL. Yeah, maybe you discover the bug or something with the URL. But here include job groups. If I put asterisk just.
Yes. So if you do that, this overrides the query that you have in the URL. So that's what it says. Yeah. That you can tweak the query afterwards. I mean, we could include a word of caution to say you can't go back. You can, as soon as you use the UI, you have overwritten the URL, and then you can tweak the URL and query will be preserved there, but you cannot, you know, go back and forth. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I took the UI. What I did was I clicked to see all the job group from the latest build, obviously 15 SP6. So the UI allow you with the middle mouse, to have all the job groups. But so that we can try that without tweaking the URL, like going to.
No, I want to show you that you can tweak the URL and it preserves the different group IDs and the group block. Okay, and it shows that here. So okay, where should I click?
Yeah, it's in the general to see all the job groups, so the user doesn't switch to URL and come back to you. So I think it's in the icon, on the left of all test. Then we will see the latest build. It's just to get on the left of all tests. See.
Yeah, that's the index page.
Yeah. So yeah, so then we go to
okay.
Build 45.1 middle click.
Again,
Build 45.1. Yeah. So it just that build 45.1 middle click.
Yes.
Then you have all the job group. You are not switching anything.
Yes.
And then it should filter then.
It filters by group ID. Yes.
And then if I put just now, just.
And now if they flop first, then it would serve IDs. Time to compute.
No, but I mean that I'm not switching to the URL. I just go into that link in the web, then I go to filter. I have this view, no, with all the job groups.
Yeah.
Then I go
Okay.
to filter.
Sorry,
and
Joaquin,
then
this
it seems that there is a bug.
we can follow up with that. I would like to not strain the allocated meeting time. So guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for your feedback. I'm here for some more minutes, so Joaquin, if you like, we can follow up here. I would like to now make sure that we have a proper stop here. So I will note down those ideas, and then we can see how we will follow up about it. So thank you for attending, and hope to see you again next time. Bye.